Hello, guys. Welcome to another exciting episode on the show, Control or Be Controlled, a podcast designed to help you start thinking differently and take control of your life. And I remain your host, Darlington. Today's guest is Kristan Swan. Kristan, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Darlington. I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
All right, so Kristan Swan is a business coach turned life and spiritual guide who helps people reconnect with themselves and create lives that feel deeply aligned with who they truly are. After years of helping entrepreneurs and leaders build successful businesses, Kristan realized that the same strategic wisdom used to create external success could also help people build more meaningful and authentic life. Once again, Kristan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction. Yes, I definitely saw the benefit of doing the inner work for truly success in all aspects of my life, and have pivoted to really focus more specifically on that journey of self-discovery and offering tools and thoughts along the way.
Okay, thank you so much. So I have some questions here for you, and I would
Yes.
like us to get into them. Okay, so what inspired you? Okay, so you spent years helping entrepreneurs build successful businesses before shifting into life and spiritual guidance. Tell us what led you to make that transition.
Absolutely. My area of focus as a business coach was specifically working with independent business owners who had founded their businesses, and usually founded businesses based on a real passion that they had, and an idea to serve their clients in a way that was meaningful while doing something that they loved at the same time. And in the years that I was doing this, and I had also been a independent business owner, so I was familiar with a lot of the mistakes that you can make when you're first starting a business and then ultimately trying to grow a business. And so as I'm working with my clients, my business owners, I'm getting to know them very, very well. We're working very closely. We are meeting sometimes on a weekly basis, and we would talk a lot about what is the vision, the bigger vision for the business. What are those action steps that we're going to take? What are those milestones or goals that we are going to, designate along the path towards, achieving this vision? And then in the kind of weekly check-ins, I would end up having conversations and asking how my clients are doing. What did they actually do this week? What were the steps that they took? And so often, without, I think, realizing it, in many cases, my clients were self-sabotaging, meaning that they were taking actions that were not in support of their stated goals and dreams. And so much of it had to do with patterns of behavior that were so deeply embedded in who they were and ways of thinking about things and belief systems, that it occurred to me that if we are really going to build sustainable, and by sustainable, I mean long lasting, the kind of success that continues to grow, that you can continue to be a part of, that, the success that doesn't require you to be burned out or overwhelmed. So if we're going to create sustainable success in our businesses, we actually need to invest the time to understand our own belief systems, our own stories that we're operating from that influence these patterns of behavior that may have been useful at some point in time in our lives. However, are not serving us in this moment. So this is why I really felt like whether you are a business owner or you work for someone else or you are in you're a student, whatever life stage you are at, taking the time, investing the time in getting to know who you are. And it's going to always be evolving. So this is an ongoing conversation. This is not a one and done. But this, bringing this idea of bringing curiosity to who am I? What are my truths? And what is my inner wisdom? And also, who do I truly know that I can be in this world? And then how do I make choices and live into that? I think is how I know for myself is how I have been able to build not only a successful business, but a successful life.
All right, thank you so much, Kristen. That was a
Yes.
wonderful answer. So, what does it mean to come home to yourself? And why do so many people lose connection with who they truly are?
Oh, yeah, it is such a tender place in my heart when I realize that it can be difficult and to come home to yourself. And what I mean by that is earlier I was talking about getting to know who you are and also getting in touch with that inner wisdom that you have. And I believe we all have that. And there are so many different times in our lives where, because it's required of us, we become very externally focused. And whether we are studying, obviously we're absorbing information from a teacher, a professor, or a books, other mediums, but or if we're, if we are starting out on our professional career or in the midst of our professional career, it's very easy for us to get out of balance and become more externally focused to the point of ignoring ourselves. And so what I am talking about when I'm saying coming home to yourself is that I believe so strongly that we can trust ourselves. And if we are willing to take time and pause on a daily basis, hopefully, that we can stay connected with ourselves. We can stay connected with that knowing that we have, that wisdom. We can stay connected with that pursuit of being the person we know we can be in the world. And So in that pausing and that returning to home, there is I'm suggesting that we need to be very, very mindful of where we put our attention, because our time is valuable, right? And when we are putting our attention on kind of things outside of ourselves, comparing ourselves to other people, comparing our situation to other situations, we can lose the thread of our own lives. And even in those moments of challenge and failure, I think it's although it's so painful, and oftentimes we don't want to sit with those uncomfortable feelings and pause and take the time. These are some of the most valuable moments for us to think about, okay, what happened here? Like, how did this not go the way I thought it was going to go? And really bring that patience and that curiosity, so that, again, you are drawing from your own wisdom. And as I mentioned earlier, that we are always evolving, right? We are dynamic creatures by nature. Our personalities, are the way that, just our bodies, we are not static beings. So not only are we drawing from that well of wisdom that we have, but we are also bringing in these new experiences, both the good and the bad, and drawing from the experiences the valuable lessons.
Okay, so you say you believe in a kind and generous universe. How do you hold on to that belief through experiences like divorce, struggle, and disappointment?
Sometimes in the moment, it's not easy, for sure. There have certainly been plenty of times where I have not felt like I live in a kind and generous world. And what I do know, on balance, when I take the time to both reflect on my day right in the moment, or if I take the time to reflect on past events, for starters, in the moment, if I ask myself that question, am I okay? Am I okay in this moment? The answer is generally yes. I am okay, right? In my case, I have a place that I can live. I'm not worried about food in this moment. I have friends. I have family. I'm okay. So just kind of starting with that, I think, is a good place to counterbalance sometimes that feeling of grief, those feelings of loss and overwhelm. And then if I really think about, and this is where my journaling practice has been such a path of healing for me, is through journaling and writing down about past experiences. Even if it's the day before that I'm reflecting on, I'm recognizing that there are so many moments in the day where I thought that I knew exactly what the options were, right? I come to a situation and it can be this way or it can be that way. And it turns out that oftentimes neither way is the way it turns out. What ends up happening is something completely outside of my limited way of thinking in that moment. And so this to me is the evidence that keeps me going, that the universe is kind and generous and looking to support us in every day. It just may not look like what we thought it was going to look like. I was listening to a song yesterday as I was driving, and one of the lyrics was, "Are you ready for your blessings? Are you ready for your miracle?" And I love that lyric because the way it landed for me, particularly yesterday, and there was nothing miraculous that was happening yesterday, other than being alive and enjoying the day, is that there are so many blessings and miracles, big and small, that are just waiting for us to actually see, right? So if they are, the universe is there. It's always there, waiting for us. We are the ones who can become shut down and closed off and lose our ability to open our eyes to the blessings and miracles that are right in front of us. And like I said, oftentimes it's because they don't look exactly the way we thought they should or were going to look.
All right, Krista. So, my next question for you is this. What does it mean to discover your spiritual autobiography?
The spiritual autobiography is a practice that I started many, many years ago. And I have since turned this practice into a workshop called Discovering Your Spiritual Autobiography. And there's also a self-guided workbook that I offer to people. And really, this ties in nicely with this idea of the kind and generous and supportive universe is, and to be clear, your spiritual autobiography is not, it is non-denominational. It is for you. It is going to be different for every single person. And it is a template for exploring your relationship with that which is bigger than yourself, however you define that. And so the spiritual autobiography, I like to consider it a living document in that it is a written reflection. And the spiritual autobiography that you write today, the one, if I were to sit down and write one today, it's going to be very, very different than the one that I wrote 6 months ago or 5 years ago, because it is your understanding in this moment. And there are a series of exercises that lead up to the actual prompt of writing your spiritual autobiography, which again ask you to reflect on past instances with the idea that you can connect with that sense of possibility, right? That there were so many times in our lives where the worst case scenario didn't come true, and even our limited understanding of what a best case scenario would look like didn't come to to bear fruit. Really, what ended up happening was so much richer and fuller and so much more meaningful when we look at the entirety of our life, that I love the spiritual autobiography as a practice of staying actively in hope.
Okay, so you talk about saying yes before you think. When can that mindset be a strength? And when can it become a weakness?
Mm-hmm. Oh, I love this. Yes, I love to say yes. I absolutely love to say yes because, as Darlington pointed out, on the plus side, there are moments where I have said yes, and it has led to experiences and opportunities that I never would have dreamed of, or friendships that I would never have imagined. So I love when I'm willing to say yes, and because there is that, I'm getting that feeling of that little spark of connection to what this thing is. I may not be able to put my finger on it, but I definitely feel something about it. And I don't need to have all the answers in the moment, but that little spark. And so saying yes in those moments I love that when I am also able to pair that with my curiosity, right? And staying open and asking lots of questions, both of myself and of whatever the thing is that I've said yes to. And I will put on the caveat that once you say yes and you begin to get more information and you're asking questions and you're engaged with this, whatever this thing is, if you learn more information as it goes on, you get to change your mind and you can say, you know what? I think this might be a better fit at a different time. Or now that I know more, thank you so much. I can recommend someone else. Sometimes in a professional situation, you can, say, gosh, I'm realizing I love what you want to do and I may not be the right person for it. So let me refer someone else. So there are ways to say yes, and and I will say that there are ways to give yourself permission along the way if you learn that it's not quite the right yes for you. Now, conversely, there have been plenty of times when I have said yes for the reasons that do not end up in a good result. And that means that I am saying yes because I feel like I have to, that it isn't really a question of yes or no. So I'm feeling pressure, I'm feeling some sort of external pressure. If I'm saying yes out of guilt, that is not a healthy yes for me. Because a lot of times if I'm saying yes out of guilt, like I feel like I should do this, then pretty soon I generally find myself feeling resentful. And that's not a healthy space for me or anyone else who's involved in this particular situation. And the other thing is sometimes the one that I have said yes to sometimes, which really doesn't work out well for me, is sometimes I have said yes because I have felt flattered and I have felt like, oh gosh, you want me, right? I feel like this by being asked this thing, it makes me feel like I'm important. And those are oftentimes yeses that do not turn out well either for me, because the truth of the matter is external validation, while I do believe it is great when you have positive feedback that is specific and true, saying yes to things just because people ask and thinking and taking that as external validation usually for me has ended up feeling pretty hollow. And those are the times when I really need to either say, well, let me think about this, or I may need more information before I can give you an answer, because I need to make sure to come back to myself and check in and be 100% confident that I am in a space where I am feeling grounded, that I am confident in my knowing that I am enough just as I am, and that if I say no to this, it doesn't diminish me in any way. In fact, oftentimes my saying no in these situations is going to allow for someone else who is a authentic yes to agree to the thing. And I can end up feeling, again, more like myself. And that's the place that I can feel the most joy, the most contentment, and that is the place where I honestly just operate from ease. So those are kind of all the ways that I think about the positives and the less positives of automatically saying yes.
All right, Kristen, thank you so much. This has been a very exciting episode so far. Thank you for sharing your story and your perspective with us. So for those who would like to connect with you, learn more about what you do, how can they do that?
Absolutely. I would love to connect with your audience. My website is a wonderful place to look at the various resources that I have and learn a little bit more about me. And that is kristenswan.com. And for people who use social media, I have a presence on Instagram and TikTok, Kristen Swan. So take a look, and I am really hoping that you, the listeners, were able to maybe just hear one little nugget of helpful or meaningful information today.
All right, thank you so much, Kristen. Thanks to all my audience as well for tuning in today for this episode. You guys are the real MVP. As always, keep supporting, keep leaving us a review, keep sharing this episode if it encourages you, and make sure to check out Kristen's work as well. And you all do have a wonderful day ahead. Thank you, Kristen.
Thank you, Darlington. Have a great day too.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.